right, I got my camera up and I'm gonna share some things with you really quick on this video. And I'm gonna set my timer. Siri, set timer for 20 minutes. Okay, so I set my timer because I don't want to make this video too long. I want to keep it short, simple, and straight to the point because I know you're busy. I'm busy. We all got things to do. Today is New Year's. I'm getting ready to go hang out and have some fun in this beautiful weather here in Georgia. It's not actually cold right now. It's beautiful. It feels like fall. My favorite season, my favorite weather of the year. I'm hopping on here really quick because I just wanted to share this screenshot image with you right here. I often get this question a lot. I often get this question saying, I just bought a sewing machine. I don't know what to do. Or I want to learn how to sew. I don't know where to start. I don't know what supplies to buy. Things like that. I get that question a lot. So if you just recently went to some store, bought a sewing machine, or maybe you inherited a machine from a family member or someone gifted you a machine. Basically, you got a machine and you don't know what to do and you don't know where to start. Then please watch this entire video because I'm going to share my advice and tips and strategies for you on what you should do if you just got a sewing machine and you don't know what to do. Hey friends, I'm Janelle, Lady J, and I created this channel, House of Lady J, because I sew clothing and I want to be able to now start a local small business prom dress sewing business in my area here in Georgia. And I want to be able to document my journey, sharing with you my ups and downs, my high and my lows, you know, all that beautiful behind the scenes stuff, all that good stuff, yada, yada, yada. That is the purpose of me creating this channel. So thank you very much for spending a few minutes with me real quick while I talk about addressing this often question I get a lot. I get this question a lot from family members, young cousins who are younger than me. I'm in my 40s, so I get this from like cousins in their 20s and their 30s. I also get this question asked to me all over social media. It's often posted in one of my inboxes, whether it's TikTok or Instagram or Facebook. I get this question a lot. You just bought a sewing machine, you don't know what to do, you don't know where to start, you don't know what supplies you need. Okay, actually, hold on. I got everything jotted down in my notes. I just don't want to make sure I miss anything. And oftentimes I can ramble, so I don't want to ramble. I just want to keep this video under target and get to the point. So hold on. Let me go grab my iPad real quick, because I actually have everything here in my notes that I'm going to share with you. All right, that way I don't miss anything. Okay, got it. Let's get started. The first advice I would share with you, if you just bought a sewing machine and you don't know what to do, where to start, you don't know what supplies you need, my first advice to you is, why do you want to sew? What is your purpose of sewing? Do you want to sew because you see other people sewing and you love what they're creating? Do you want to sew as a hobby? Do you want to turn it into a business? I would advise you to take out a sheet of paper, write down a list of maybe 10 to 20 things or reasons on why you want to sew. After you've written that down, then come up with, what do you want to sew? I mean, there's so many different things out here you can sew. I've sewn a whole lot of things. I've sewn pillows, hair bonnets, clothing, dress. Those are the three things I pretty much stick with because I like it. And not only do I sew those things, I also craft a lot. So I'm always crafting, you know, creating little crafts and soaps and things like that. I love crafting. I would advise you to figure out, why do you want to sew? The reason I got into sewing, my eldest daughter, she's a teenager now. She's born with she has special needs. She's born with achondroplasia dwarfism. And oftentimes we will never find clothing in the store for little people, people who are little and small, but you will often find a whole lot of clothes in stores for people who are big and tall, right? I struggled with my daughter since she was a baby because she's born with special needs. She's a little person. She's diagnosed with achondroplasia dwarfism. I always struggled to find clothes for her. So that's when I said, you know what? I need to learn how to sew so I can make clothing for her, because I foresaw the future. Not only am I having a struggle with her as a little baby, but I know it's going to be a struggle as she grows older. She's going to struggle to find clothing to fit her. We all know that. Go to any store right now. The smallest you'll find is something that says petite, size 0. But that stuff is designed for average height people who are petite, right? Average torso, legs, arms, not for someone who is diagnosed with achondroplasia dwarfism or someone who is diagnosed as a little person. No, because with little people, their limbs are short. Their torso, well, there's several different types of dwarfism. If the one that's most commonly known is achondroplasia, meaning your torso is normal size, your head is normal, your neck, but it's your limbs. Your limbs is small, short, like her arms are short, her legs are short, which makes you a shorty, makes you a little person, you're small, right? And as a result of that, the clothing just don't appropriately fit her. So that was my why. That's why I got into sewing. So then at that point, what I did was signed up for a learning how to sew from a fashion school here in Georgia. It was in Atlanta. I was living in Atlanta at the time. I was living in Dunwoody at the time, and the sewing school was in Atlanta. So I signed up for a local sewing school because I know how I am. I am hands-on. I need that hands-on type of interaction to learn how to sew. Yes, the textbook is great. I could read and study what I need to study to pass the test. But once you're done with that curriculum, we have to come out here in the real world and actually have hands-on experience. That's me all day. I know I need hands-on. So I signed up for a local sewing class in Atlanta. The name of the school is called Le Fashion Lab Fashion School. It's a beautiful mother and daughter duo. The owner or the creator of the school is a former employee of Target. She's a former fashion designer of Target, where she designed the apparel wear for Target. Hold on, this video is not being sponsored by Le Fashion Lab Fashion School. They didn't ask me to create this. I'm just sharing with you my journey on how I started and what my why is. My why is that. So I signed up for the 4 weeks learning how to sew class and pattern with Le Fashion Lab Fashion School. It was a once-a-week class. I had to get up every Saturday morning. I can't remember, I think class started at 8 or 9, and we were there for about 5 or maybe 6 hours. It was really fun. It was really interactive, hands-on, and things like that. After that, once I was done learning the basics on how to sew, how to thread the sewing machine, the different type of stitchings, the needles, things like that. The class, when you learn to sew, there's so much you need to know. You need to know about the lines, the grain lines, the bias. How do you properly position your pattern pieces on that fabric? What's the right way of fabric to cut? What type of fabric are you going to use? We need to know these basic things in order to sew. It's not just that simple for me to come on here or reply to your message in your inbox and say, hey, I want to learn how to sew, or I bought a sewing machine, I don't know what to do. It's too broad. It's too broad. I can share the basics, and I would recommend you get to the nitty-gritty and learn the basics, because you're going to need to know things like the type of lines inside the fabric. You're going to need to know about the bias, grain line. How do you position your pattern pieces that you're about to cut properly and appropriately on that piece of fabric? You want to make sure you cut the fabric the right way. What types of fabric are you going to use? Fabrics have different stretch. Are you going to use a stretchy fabric like knit, for example? A 4-way knit, 2-way knit? Which side do you need to stretch the fabric for your pattern? We need to know these things, okay? If you really want to learn how to sew, I just really, really, really advise, or I want to advise that you take a hands-on sewing class. The second thing I did was, after I got done with my 4-week sewing class at Le Fashion Lab Fashion School, I didn't have a sewing machine. I didn't go out there and buy a sewing machine and say, hey, no, I didn't do that, because I didn't know what I was doing. I did not know what I was doing. So there was no way I was going to go out there and buy a sewing machine and say, hey, I want to learn how to sew. No. At Le Fashion Lab, I learned to use, and the one that they taught us at Le Fashion Lab's Fashion School is 𝐏𝐋𝐄, if I'm saying it right, 𝐏𝐋𝐄, J-U-N-K-I. It's like that industrial, heavy-duty industrial sewing machine. So that's the one I learned to sew. I didn't have a sewing machine at the time because I didn't know what to do. I didn't know what machine to buy. Back then, YouTube was around, but it wasn't that very popular yet. Facebook had just came out, but it wasn't that popular yet. Social media wasn't all that the way it is today. It was fairly it was just being born. It was going through its birth stages and development and growth. But yeah, I learned how to use the 𝐏𝐋𝐄𝐀𝐒, if I'm saying it right. That's the sewing machine I was taught to sew on when I started learning. Then what happened was I posted a photo of me in my, I was actually sitting at the sewing table sewing, and one of the classmates next to me, one of the students next to me took a picture of me. And then she took a picture of me where, you know, I'm sewing or whatever. And then she said, look, Janelle, look. So I looked at the picture and I'm like, oh, that's cute. Send me that picture. So she texted me the picture. And back then we didn't even have iPhones. It was just like Android or something, you know. So she texted me the picture, and then I posted that picture on Facebook. And then my aunt, I won't say her name. I have a ton of aunts, but one of my aunts saw me on Facebook, and she's like, what are you doing? What are you doing? like, what's going on? What are you doing? That's when I quickly shared with her the reason I'm doing this. I'm sewing because my daughter, Jazara, you know, I'm struggling to find clothes out here. There's nothing out here in these streets for little people. There's all these clothes for the big and tall, nothing for the little and small. There's a ton of clothes for average height folks. You know, nothing for little people with short limbs and short arms. And I want to learn how to sew for her so I can make sure she's comfortable. She's a teenager now. I don't sew for her anymore because now she wants to wear the latest fashion trends that's in store. She shops. You know, I get it. I totally get it. Instead of me using all of that knowledge and skills over the many years that I've garnered in sewing, within the sewing space, and I said, well, I'll just start sewing for myself. So that's what led me next to my step 2, is that I started sewing clothing for myself. Now, the second part to this story is after my aunt saw me with the sewing machine, and then I took a trip down to Florida to visit family. My aunt met up with me at my parents' house, and she gifted me my very first sewing machine. And I use that sewing machine till this day. It's still right there. It's a brother brand. My aunt bought that off of Home Shopping Network. HSN, where, you know, they go on TV. I'm not sure if it's live, but they go live on TV selling all these products, kind of like what we're doing now with social media live selling. That's what HSN and QVC was about back in those days. So my aunt bought that sewing machine right there. Not this one. This one is my serger. That's a sewing machine. So my aunt gifted me that sewing machine, and I've been sewing on that sewing machine since 2012, ever since my aunt gifted me that machine. Never bought another one. Never upgraded, you know, I take care of it. She gave it to me with all the original parts and pieces, and I use that sewing machine till this day. So, deep breath. Okay, well, that is my why on why I wanted to get into sewing. It was because of my daughter. I struggled to find clothing for her. Now, when you decide and determine what your why is, what is your why? Do you want to sew just for fun? Do you want to sew as a hobby? Do you want to sew to fulfill a need? Do you want to turn it into a business? What is your why? Do you want to make the stuff, donate it? You know, figure out your why. You see people sewing stuff and everything looks beautiful and cute. You want to do it too? Okay, figure out your why. My why started off because of my daughter, and it then led me into doing it as a hobby because I stopped sewing for her and I started sewing for myself. Now, the second part to you needing to know what to do when it comes to sewing, I then went on to Joann and I signed up for a one-day class at Joann at the store. I don't know if Joann still does this, but back in the days, Joann used to have one-day sewing classes over the weekend. You would just look at the schedule, pick a day you want to sign up, pay your money, show up for class. Now, Joann also, any sewing class you go to, they will give you a list of tools and supplies that you'll need to bring to class in order to sew or for them to teach you how to sew. Some places you go will already have sewing machines there, like the school I went to in Atlanta already had sewing machines to teach us. Also, Joann had sewing machines, but Joann also lets you bring your own sewing machine. By the time I circle back around to Joann for that one-day class, I brought my sewing machine because I wanted to use my machine. I had already got comfortable with it. I got used to it. I knew how to maneuver through my machine and what to do. It's like a car. These machines are like driving cars. When you hop into another vehicle, it feels weird. You have to learn how to use that pedal properly. You know what I mean? So it's the same thing with my sewing machine. I already was comfortable with it. I know how to use it. I know how to use the presser foot and things like that and things like that. So I went on to take a class with Joanne's because then I wanted to learn about patterns, like not the patterns that they teach you in fashion school. I'm talking like the commercial patterns, patterns that are designed by big name folks like Butterick, Simplicity, McCall's, things like that. Actually, let me go grab a pattern for you real quick. I have one here I could show you. Okay, here's an example of a pattern. This is a commercial pattern by Vogue Simplicity. Again, I'm not being sponsored by this. These folks are not paying me. I'm just here to share this information with you on what I did and what I advise you to do. This pattern is called a commercial pattern. This pattern is designed by Vogue, okay? So I wanted to learn about sewing with patterns. This was my next step. So once I signed up for Joanne's, it was a list of supplies. They told me what pattern we're gonna work with. They also recommended the suggested fabrics that we use. The suggested fabrics that we use, they were like, we're gonna work with knit, we're gonna make McCall's, and it was a bodycon dress. That was my first time sewing anything was that McCall's bodycon dress using knit fabric. Now, knit fabric, ooh-wee. That fabric is a beast. So the two fabrics I've mastered over the years is woven and knits. Knit, like woven, it's great. It's like, it's soft / stiff. It stays in place. Cotton, it sits there, it stays in place. You can sew your straight lines, you know, you can move through it and everything. Knit, knit fabric is a beast. There's so many different types of knits. There's rayon knit, there's jersey knit, interlock knit, you know, ITY knit, velvet knit, sequence knit, which is what I recently started learning what to sew with sequin stretch knit. There's so many different knits, but we use in Joanne's interlock knit. And I made myself my first bodycon dress using that. And I still have that dress till this day. I'm so proud of that dress. It's still in my closet downstairs. Now with knit, it's a beast. It slides all over the sewing machine. It curls, it rolls, you know, you really have to. You can't just put it on there and be like, oh, I'm sewing. No, you got to control that piece of fabric. You got to control that thing, like hold it, guide it, you know, sew, stop, fix, sew, stop, fix. Because if you don't do those things, your stitches mess up, your lines mess up, your sewing is all over the place. We look like handmade, homemade, like we don't know what we're doing. We look like handmade, homemade, we don't know what we're doing. So no, but that was my number 2. Then I went on to take because I wanted to learn how to sew these commercial patterns. And with that, sewing with commercial patterns, Joanne's also gave us a list of supplies we need, you know, things like that. That was a 1-day class. It was fun. And then the rest is history. I took off from there. So then I sewed using a lot of knits and woven fabric. I absolutely love it. I made a lot of skirts, a lot of dresses. And then over the many years, sharing everything that I make, posting it on social media, people reached out to me, oh, make me this, make me that. So then I started to branch off and make things on the side. I started to make money. I've made pillows, hair bonnets, reversible, adjustable, satin quality fabric hair bonnets, face masks when we're going through the whole illness thing, face mask. And I've actually made good money off of these things. So now also I'm getting into the area of learning how to sew prom dresses. So that's new to me. That's a whole different type of stitch, a whole different piece of fabric. That's new to me. So I'm learning too. Although I've been sewing personally since 2012, I am still learning. Once you've determined your why, then I recommend you take an in-person training. Because your instructor, once you get past that and you determine your why, then that's when I recommend you take your in-person training. Yes, it's beautiful to be on the internet because there's so many different videos. There's so many different membership sites that will teach you how to sew. Yes, I'm the type of person, okay, I need hands-on, side-by-side. I need that person next to me to teach me how to do this. I need to make sure I know what I'm doing. You know, I need somebody to slap me on the hand when I'm doing it wrong, tell me to slow down, hold on. There's nothing more intimate than having that live interaction, person-to-person experience with you and teaching you on something to do. There's only so far we can go with the internet, yes, but I just feel like if we're gonna come on YouTube or search these things online, we have to have a little bit of sense of understanding, some basic knowledge, and understand a little bit advanced. Once you feel like you're a little bit advanced, yes, go on YouTube, search these things, and you can take it from there. When you start sewing, these places, they will always give you a list of supplies and tools that you need. I mean, you're gonna need sewing machine, needles, rulers. They're gonna tell you the type of fabric to bring based on whatever you're gonna sew in the class, because they'll give you something to start with. Since you're brand new, they'll give you something basic to make. Probably teach you how to sew with cotton fabric. That's the most easiest type of fabric they're probably gonna teach you. So they're gonna probably give you some cotton fabric, or tell you to bring cotton fabric, or muslin. Muslin is another piece of fabric that we use when we're practicing and draping on the dress forms. You use a lot of muslin. That's what's gonna happen. And not just any, if you can see here, I have all these scissors here. It's not just any scissors you can, use. You need to know, they're gonna tell you to bring your measuring tape, pins, scissors. You need two types of scissors. One, scissors that you only use exclusively to cut your fabric with. The other scissors is what you're gonna use to cut patterns, because these pattern pieces, they're paper. So you're gonna use a separate scissors to cut paper. Never use the same scissors that you use to cut your fabric and turn around and use that same scissors to cut out your paper products. Never do that, because the blade, it's going to damage your fabric, and just don't do it, please. You'll learn these things when you start learning how to sew. You'll hear all the experts and the advanced folks tell you always use separate scissors. So these are the things you're gonna need, like a seam ripper, a measuring tape, scissors, rulers, pins, things like that. And you'll get a whole list of supplies of what you need to bring with you once you are ready to start your sewing class. So that's my advice to you today. I hope you found this video helpful. If you're watching this and you're a sewist, you've been sewing for many years like I have, please comment below and share any advice or feedback, because I will be using this video to share it with others. I still receive that question every day. Till this day, I still receive someone messaging me or texting me about wanting to sew. But honestly, the question I get most is, oh, I just bought a machine. They just went out there and bought a machine and they don't know what to do. That is the worst thing to do. You shouldn't go out there and run and buy a machine. Now, do that if you feel good and comfortable, like you got this, you can handle it, great, by all means. But I don't recommend you do that. I recommend we take a local class somewhere, learn the basics. They will give you a list of tools and of supplies that you need to come to class with. They will give you instructions. They're also going to share with you what you're going to sew in class. And that way it will prepare you on what you need to grab and buy for class. They'll also charge, so this is not going to be free. They'll also charge and tell you how much class will be. Or if you have a friend or someone you know that's been sewing, if they have the time, they can probably teach you. Then you go get your sewing machine, okay? Then you can go on YouTube and Google and search all this other stuff once you grasp and nail down the basics on sewing. So that's my time. My alarm is going off. I didn't want to keep this video too long. So again, if you are a sewist, please comment below, because I will be sharing this video with other people who ask me this question. Instead of me writing and replying these long threads to them, confusing them and overwhelming them, I'm just going to pop this video as a reply to their question. And they're going to see, the comments on what other people can share, their feedback and their advice and things of that nature, just in case perhaps I missed anything. I didn't want to go too long into this video because it can be confusing and overwhelming. There's way too much involved when it comes to sewing. Like I said, you need to learn about fabrics. We need to know about the different types of fabric. We need to know, why are we sewing? Do we want to start a hobby, a business? Is there a need to fulfill? When I had to fulfill a need, the recent project I started working on was sewing hair bonnets for 2 local hair salons here in Georgia because of a need. I often struggle so bad with these cheap hair bonnets in these beauty supply stores. Granted, they're all nice and beautiful. They tie so well, they're so cute, but they're horrible, cheap quality. I got sick of buying these hair bonnets for myself and my daughters, and they deteriorate so fast. The threading comes apart. My kids come to me and ask me to fix it. I end up sewing it. I'm like, this is crazy. I'm not gonna keep doing this. I'm not gonna keep wasting money buying these cheap beauty supply store hair bonnets. I said, you know what? I'm gonna fix this problem for us. So I went to the store, bought some high quality satin fabric, really good, strong satin fabric. And then I also sewed reversible adjustable hair bonnets where the hair bonnets can stay on our head, because with the ones we buy in store, all nice and beautiful and tied up, the problem is they'll fall off of our head. We wake up and the hair bonnet is somewhere on the floor, it get loose, or sometimes the hair bonnet is so tight it like leaves a line on your forehead. Ladies, if you're watching this, I'm sure you can relate. Every single one of us are gonna relate to that problem with our hair bonnets. I got frustrated with that. So that's why I started creating reversible and adjustable hair bonnets that's high quality satin fabric that's going to last longer than a few weeks or a couple months, actually last for a while, stay on our heads. We can also adjust the hair bonnet to our comfort level. So I started making those. I started making those for me and my daughter. I shared it on social media. Other people wanted to buy. I started selling those to other people, and I made 3 sizes. And to accommodate our different hairstyles, different hair textures and things like that. Family bought from me, friends bought from me, strangers from all over the United States, or because that's where I only ship to the US. I don't ship outside of the US. So people all over the US bought those hair bonnets. So that was me fulfilling a need. With that being said, another thing that I dislike is when I go to hair salons, whether it's my hair, or I'm taking my kids to get their hair done, these hair salons are not selling these products. You know, they should also sell these products to their customers. Add it as an upsell, as a bonus, because it's one thing that we're going there spending all this money getting our hair done. It's another thing when we go there, and then we got to turn around and go to the beauty supply store to buy something else. No, no, y'all should be offering this to us. So that's what happened. Started partnering with 2 local hair salons here in Georgia. I started creating bulk order wholesales, and then they in turn start selling it to their customers at retail price. So I create the bulk order wholesale, they in turn sell it retail to their customers. Everybody's happy. The customer's happy. The hairstylist happy. She made a little extra money on the side. In addition to her doing the hair, I'm happy because I'm creating the item to fulfill a need. So we're all happy. So that's what my purpose of sewing. Now I'm even more excited about getting into the prom space because my kids, make my prom dress. And I have a friend from school, from way back, middle school, high school. She constantly reached out over the years. I kid you not. She messaged me, I think 4 years ago. She goes, "Hey, Janelle, make prom dresses," something like that. I don't even know if I still have the message. I probably still have the message in my inbox. And I'm like, prom dresses? Are you serious? I'm like, wait a minute, that's a different ball game. That's advanced. And I'm like, I'm not that advanced. I just do this basic, cute, everyday, ready to wear casual outfits. Like I love sewing wrap dresses, baby doll dresses. Oh, those are my favorite. I love sewing 2-piece outfits. I love peplum, like a peplum top. Oh, I love peplum top. And wrap tops, wrap dress and wrap tops. Oh, those are my favorite. And I love creating outfits out of it, like a matching outfit. So I love sewing those. So when my girl from school was like, "Sew prom dresses," she's literally messaged me 4 years ago about this. And then here we are 4 years later, 2024, which is last year. She's messaging me again. Janelle, prom dress. Okay, girl, I'm listening. I'm paying attention. I hear you. So what does Janelle do? I judge it as a calling, and I use the opportunity as a way to now offer another service to a different industry. And, sewing, it's all about learning. And I've been doing this for many years. So although I've been sewing for many years, since 2012, I still need to learn. Education is so important. It's truly the keys to our success. Never stop learning. No matter what field you're in, no matter what line of work you're doing, we always need to keep learning, keep ourselves up on the trends, keep yourself leveled up so you're not faded away and lost in the background. I still do that. I just recently enrolled in a dressmaking and design class that I just graduated from, getting my career diploma from Penn Foster. Not sponsored or asked to do this by Penn Foster, but I spent 5 months taking an online class in dressmaking and design. I graduated, got my career diploma. It should be arriving in the mail sometime this week. I'm hanging on my wall that I graduated and earned my credentials in dressmaking and design. Then I started practicing. I started practicing with different appliques, things that I literally learned in this class. Appliques, beaded fabric, lace mesh, and then another thing. Also YouTube. YouTube is a great, I swear, people joke and call it YouTube University. It really is. So I go on YouTube. If there's something I need to learn really quick, I'll go on there, research it really quick. Takes me about a few minutes, learn it, got it in my brain, come out here, make it happen. Always learning, always engaged. Education is so important. I love reading. I read a lot of books, and that's what I wanted to share with you. So if you found this information helpful, please subscribe to my channel. I am on my journey of now getting in the prom dressmaking space, and I'm documenting my journey. I'm just documenting. The purpose of me documenting is in hopes of inspiring someone else to learn from me and take my lessons and thrive with it. We all need help. Everybody needs a mentor. A mentor has a mentor. Even Oprah has a mentor. I just want to be your online mentor. If there's something I don't know, look, we learn it together. We're going to struggle in this together. My watch is going off. It's saying done. That's my time, guys. Thank you so much for subscribing to my video. Thank you so much for watching my video. Please subscribe to my channel. And I look forward to creating the next one. If there's something else you would like to learn, whether it's sewing, is there something in particular? Like I love sewing pillows, fashion decor, dresses. If there's something like hair bonnets, I can teach you guys how to do this. I can create these videos and post it here on this channel, but you need to let me know. I'm not gonna make this if you don't want, if you're not interested. Please comment below, and thank you so much. I appreciate your time joining me on this video.